Wait, are we live?
Yes, it says live now.
Oh! Hello, world. Good morning good afternoon from Singapore. Good early morning if you're in the U.S. I'm joined here my name is Tara Lenny. I'm Tech Teacher T on Twitter. My hair's a hot mess, but I'm joined here with Doug, the weird teacher. You
Hello.
right? Woo! And with Marlon from
Well,
Hong Kong. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
My name is. Sorry, Marlon. My name is Doug. I'm the Weird Teacher on Twitter at the Weird Teacher. I teach fifth grade in Oregon, and I've written two books about teaching. He's the Weird Teacher and the Teaching Text. You're welcome.
All right.
okay, I guess I'll go on to myself. I'm Marlon, and I am a curriculum coordinator at the American International School here in Hong Kong. And no, I haven't written any books, but excited about this topic that we are going to embark on.
Speaking of books, yeah, I haven't written any either. Not completely. I'm 60,000 words into like a book that I started 10 years ago.
That's a lot of words, Tara.
It really is. I should really publish it, but it's scatterbrained. Like I am sometimes. Uh, okay. So our topic today is computer programming in the curriculum, and we have 0 viewers, so there's like no pressure right now. This feels so awesome. All right, even though it's going to be recorded, but whatevs. Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay, so wait, this is fun because it's already live. Okay. Oh, we have 1 viewer, so we have to get it together. So,
We should tweet out the link. Did you tweet the link?
I think I did.
Hello, viewer.
Hi, world. Okay. Oh, we have 3 now. Oh my gosh, Doug, what did you just do? Okay, so today we're talking about computer programming and how it fits into your curriculum. I was about to say raise your hand if, but then I realized that you guys don't have hands that you can raise, right? All right, so computer programming. First, it's the what is it? First, it's the why teach it, you know? And then the how do you teach it? And where does it fit in? So we're actually going to start by looking at, yeah, I think my screen is finally safe to share. Okay, hold on. We're going to start by looking at how to teach coding, right? So the first thing that you want to do is you want to be insanely frustrated. When you get frustrated, there's something that happens, right? You go through this mental process of, oh my gosh, I just want to pull my hair out right now. But you don't actually, okay, sometimes you do actually do it. But when you're teaching, you don't actually do it. When you get frustrated with yourself or with how a lesson's going, you don't just stop the lesson and say, you know what, we're done. Same thing with computer programming. So when you encounter a problem, when you're teaching a full class of kindergartners how to work through a program, if you show them what it's like to get frustrated, they'll then start to behave how you would, right? So you're modeling what it's like to get frustrated and how to work through something. Which takes me on to the next habit. Habit number 2 is that you want to adopt the iteration mindset. So iteration is all about learning how to fail forward. It's how to try something. Oh, wait, let me see if I can share this more prettily. Okay. Sorry, we're taking a short intermission to share this the right way. Wait, no, I was doing it the right way. Hold on. Mental break. All right. Can you guys see that okay?
It's loading. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I love this one. Okay. So, habit number 2 is all about adopting the iteration mindset. Iteration is something that is not talked about a lot in most educational environments, right? Because at least in the States, we were all about let's succeed, let's be the best we can be in the Army and also the classroom. Okay, so, but if you think about what life was like when you were a kid versus what it's like now that you're an adult who has bills to pay and like jobs to go to and things like that, then iteration is like this whole new mindset that some people just aren't ready for, right? So in school, if we're teaching our students how to try something and then if it doesn't work, then try it again and again and again in different ways, right? Then we're teaching them how to be prepared to be in this future-ready environment. So then when students go and apply to college, they're not having a total meltdown because they didn't get into Yale on their first try. When they applied for their driver's license and they take the driving test, like I did 3 times or so. Anyhow, when they don't get it on the first try, they're not saying, oh, I'm not good at this. I'm just never going to do it again. When we start teaching students how to iterate and how to try again, it's getting them ready for those opportunities to fail, right? Because it's not the fail that we want to focus on, it's how they bounce back. And if we're not giving students an opportunity to fail, then we're not giving them an opportunity to succeed. All right, that was way too philosophical, so we're going to continue. All right, so habit number 3, and this is going to save you so much stress, trust me. If you let students become the expert, right? So you don't need to be in the spotlight, and you don't need to say, oh, I have a master's degree in this. I'm the owner of all of this knowledge. When you hand that ownership over to the students and you allow them to become the expert, it takes so much stress out of you to always be on and to always be performing. And that's really, really, really important that we start to empower our students instead of just engaging them in something. And guys, feel free to jump in if you have any additions.
Okay.
Habit number 4, and unless you like drinking wine, and yeah, so I started teaching, I'm going into my 6th year right now. When I first started teaching, I hated wine. After the first 3 weeks, it was my new best friend. To buy a bottle of wine, it costs like $54, so I'm starting to not like wine anymore because of the price. Anyhow, long story short, the drinking of the wine, the going out for pretzel time, as we used to call it in Philly, or library time, as we called it in Charlotte.
Giving away secrets, Tara.
Oh, whoops, sorry. Kids don't watch this. So, so maybe the title of this should have been changed to Giving Away All of Our Secrets, Part 1. No, because there's far too many. But anyhow, so when you incorporate the ask 3 before me, it alleviates this level of stress, right? Because I know, having been a 3rd grade teacher and a technology teacher for a few years, that a lot of the stress came from students asking the same thing over and over and over again, and then you have to explain it the same way to like 10 different students. If you empower students to ask their classmates before they start asking you questions, then you're empowering them to be in this collaborative space, right? In a lot of tech companies, oh, wait, what am I doing now? Hold on, ADD kicking in. Okay, so in a lot of tech companies, think of Google, for example. If you run into a problem, you don't go directly to your manager. You work it out as like a team building thing, right? And it's all about teamwork and it's all about collaborating. So instead of having students run to you when something is broken, empower them to be interdependent upon one another, and they're going to learn so much more. And they're going to learn how to communicate with one another in an effective way. Because I can tell you right now that if Jimmy said, my thingy's not going to that place, then Jill's going to go over there and be like, what are you talking about, right? Because they need to learn this new language and these new terms, and it empowers them and it builds their understanding of something new, like a whole new world, but I'm not going to go into song right now. So, okay.
Darn, entertainment.
What?
I said, darn, you're not going to entertain us with a song as well?
Well, that particular song was more focused on geotools, and I feel like it would really turn this whole situation into a train wreck if we were to do the song in front of the 5 viewers right now, and that would be super duper.
I do the I do the collaborative thing in my classroom too. I use it as an example to talk about. I use it as an excuse to talk about one of my favorite movies, Pacific Rim,
Mhm.
which is on the face, it's giant robots punching giant monsters. But it's not really about that. It's about friendship and it's about working together. Um, so I talk to my kids about how, because they all sit in groups, so they all have to connect with each other first. They all have to be able to work with each other first. Otherwise, that connection isn't strong, and otherwise, they're not going to be able to operate as efficiently as they ought to. And then when they do ask me for help, I make it very clear that I'm not coming in and taking over their connection. I'm coming in and I'm joining that connection. So I'm just going to be a part of that conversation. I'm not going to be leading that conversation when they finally do need my help, if they actually get to that point.
Excellent. See, and so like just Ask Three Before Me works across teaching, whether you're teaching computer programming or whether you're teaching like a foreign language or writing or anything like that. It gives you less stress, which requires less drinking.
I see the theme today.
You know? I'm not an alcoholic. Wait, that's the first thing. Okay, so definitely not. Okay, so back on track.
There was a track?
I know. This train jumped off the track before it even got on the track. That's how awesome we are. So, and you'll see that a lot of these things really do relate across different curriculums, right? So, number 5 is utilize pair programming. Google, I keep saying Google. Okay, what's another company?
Apple.
Yeah, so Apple. And let me not get into a whole other conversation about this conversation that I had with this person on this train who worked for Apple. But anyhow, okay. So, technology companies that have computer programmers, they utilize pair programming because what pair programming, well, first, what it is. Pair programming is when you have 2 students on one device. So if you're not a one-to-one school, this is awesome. If you are a one-to-one school, put half your devices away for a little while. You see right here in the picture that the one student is using the computer actively, right? So this student right here, wait, can you see my mouse move?
Yes.
Yay! This is awesome. Okay. Student A right here, oh man, I should have used the drawing tool so I could circle, but anyhow. Student A is the driver. He's the one in front of the wheel. He's the one controlling what's going on in the program. Student B is the navigator. So when the driver gets stuck or the driver gets lost, it's the navigator's job to come in and figure out how to get them back on the correct road. Well, big tech companies and tech companies in general, good ones, utilize pair programming because what it does is when Twitter came out with Periscope, for example, they didn't just say overnight, I want this live video streaming app. They had a team of programmers working together so that all the kinks were out of the system before Periscope was released to the general public. This ensures that like products launch successfully instead of like flopping as soon as they come out because the website was written incorrectly or something crazy. So definitely utilize the pair programming aspect. And it also gets your students to work on their speaking and listening standards, which are all over Common Core. It's amazing.
And can I add that I think just collaborating like that is going to make a huge difference because we don't give up. I mean, I think schools are really independent silos where the students just work alone a lot of times. So opportunities like that gives them this practice of how to work together as teams.
Yeah, I mean, totally. If you're looking for a way to introduce like this collaborative environment, if you start with programming, then it's teaching them the skill and this collaboration aspect that they're not just going to see this one time. It's not just you have group work this one time and you'll never have group work for the whole rest of the year. They're going to see this again in their lives.
And pairs are good too. It's structured pair work that gives them, you know, as it expands to bigger groups. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Thought I add my contribution.
I've got to figure out how to do this more seamlessly, but it's like 2 o'clock in the morning in a lot of places, so it's all good. Hopefully none of the people on this side of the equator are watching, but they are. So anyhow, um, let's see. Habit number 6, this is something very, very important. What I like to do is learn from other people's mistakes, but sometimes you have to make the mistakes yourself before you can truly learn them. So last summer, and I apologize if you've heard this already. Actually, no, I don't apologize. If you've heard this already, just plug your ears. So last summer, I took my little Toyota Corolla and drove cross country from Washington, D.C. to California. I was working with a startup company. I will not say their name, but they're a startup coding company located in California. And I got a job doing like summer coding camps with students, or sorry, summer enrichment programs with students. But it was 5 days a week, about 6-7 hours a day. So I took 4 days to drive out to California, with the only experience of having used this particular program in an after-school club. So I thought, oh, it's going to be the same thing, even though they sent me the lessons for the summer program. So I go there, and I'm very confident, overly confident, because since I did not complete the lessons ahead of time, you know, before I started to take off for the West, I did not know what keywords were, right? So the basics, like a loop, all right, you can pretty well figure that to be like a repeat block. An event, yeah, that's when something happens. Easy. Conditional if-then, super easy. Sprite, the name of an actor, or the, well, it's used to describe like an actor, right? But then there was this really, really frustrating word. And this frustrating word was called, dun 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 dun, restitution. It's the word that killed me. Now, teachers, if you have that type of personality, like many of us do, where you're right and you're always right, and so you know this even if you don't know this, but you do know it, let go of that. Just let it go. Let it go. Because in
Disney's going to sue someone.
what? All right. I keep forgetting that this is recorded. Anyhow, in that moment where a student comes up to you and they've already done the Ask 3 before me, and they've already tried to troubleshoot and problem solve, and they're Googling what words mean, and they're using their brains and all this awesomeness. But in that one moment, all it takes is one. Goosebumps. Okay. In that one moment where they come up to you and they ask you a question that you don't have the answer to, that's when you're allowed to freak out. But if you had followed all 7 of the healthy habits, you would have known that answer. I'm talking to myself like a year ago. So on day 2 of this coding camp, when students are like, what's restitution? And then all of a sudden a dozen kids are like, what's restitution? Luckily, I had somebody in there with me, and he kind of took over and started teaching them something else. And then I went to Google and was like, okay, Google, what's restitution? And it sent me the one restitution. The person who was working with me saw me get flustered, allowed me to get flustered, and then told the definition to the students. Restitution is actually the coefficient of restitution, which you would not know unless you were a physicist. And the coefficient of restitution is the bounciness of an object. You're scratching your heads right now. What? The bounciness of an object comes into play when students are creating games in which they have projectiles. Think of like a ping pong type of game, right? Where it's going to shoot in this direction, and then there's going to be a paddle that hits it, and so on and so forth. Because when students start to build these games and they have projectiles in these games, they need to know about how bouncy they want their objects to be.
So if you had, say, birds,
Mm-hmm.
And let's say they were angry.
And you have to get rid of some pigs. They're
Yeah.
easy.
Good, I like that. You would have to know the restitution of the birds as they impacted said pigs.
Yes and no. That one you would need to know the force, right? Because force and bounciness are a little different. But if you were 5 years old and you wanted those angry birds to just bounce around because you're
Angry bird, that's a good name.
huh?
What a good name for that.
They're so angry. But if you wanted the birds to just bounce around, you have to decide A, what direction, so your X, Y directions, and then B, how bouncy do you want them? Do you want them to be slow and low? Do you want them to be fast and high? Do you want them to go left to right? So anyhow, that is the lesson that I learned the hard way my very first week teaching kids how to code last summer. And I will never in my entire life forget that definition because it was the most awkward moment of most of my teaching career. Do we have any questions on the 7 healthy habits for teaching coding?
And this is when the crickets are
Answer the
I like what you said. I mean, they're very applicable to, I think, 21st century learning or skills about being resilient and trying over again.
Definitely. And it's all about that iteration process, right? Like you don't say, I'm a failure because I failed. No, you just try again and you'll be fine. Hopefully. No, but you just try again and look on the brighter side.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, let's look on the bright side of life. No? Am I the only Python fan here? Come on.
Where are the crickets?
Oh,
Oh, we could get the cricket sound.
hello for that
Right.
burn.
All right. So now, since you guys have stuck around for 25-ish minutes on the healthy habits for teaching coding, we're going to breeze through the Common Core. Are you ready?
Go.
And I just said
All right,
breeze instead of
go for it.
okay. All right. Let's see. Let's go into this again, and then let's go here, and then let's go here, and then why am I doing it that way? Hold on.
Come on, Tara.
I know. I should have known this by the 5th try, but oh well. Some of us take longer than others. Yes. Okay. So,
Oh, that's nice.
right? Okay. So, you already know the 7 healthy habits for teaching coding. Now, what you've all been waiting for.
Dun, dun, dun.
Earth, where does coding fit into this predefined Common Core standard curriculum thing, right? So Common Core is actually the standards. The curriculum is what you do with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably should have said Common Core and the standards. Well, that'll be the next one. All right. So first off, and moderators, feel free to shout out any words that look familiar. So coding is finding a sequence of instructions that will automate the performance of a specific task or solve a given problem. Common Core, go!
Oh, what are we supposed to do?
What Common Core words do you
Oh,
see in this state?
okay, problem solving, I guess, problem.
Yes.
Performance task
Performance, specific
Oh.
task. Good.
and sequencing.
Sequencing, perfect. All right, so this tells you right away that coding, computer programming, if it doesn't belong in Common Core, where does it belong? But that's a question for another day. All right, so
Everything belongs in Common Core. Common Core is real flexible. You can make anything fit.
yeah, which is beautiful. So, but we're not going to debate Common Core. We're just going to show you especially those states that have Common Core as a required standard, set of standards rather, we're going to show you where computer programming fits in.
Okay.
So, number 1, reading informational text. Right here, you have something called conditionals, and a conditional is if this, then that. So, if you don't tie your shoes, then they're going to get stuck in the escalator, right? Cause, effect. Sorry, I just think that way because like the escalators out here at the MRT are so fast, and I feel like I'm going to if I don't jump off. They're really fast. I'll Periscope it soon. Okay. If I can, without losing my phone. Anyhow, but, huh?
We're dying.
Right? All right, so reading informational text, RI3, is all about relationships between the steps in a technical process. So we'll go into this frozen activity, and I haven't checked the link, so hopefully it still works. Oh my goodness. I'm so overwhelmed. Okay.
Activity?
What?
Frozen activity?
Yes.
Like the movie?
Yes. Oh, so, okay, first off.
This is Ice Age, not Frozen.
No, this is Ice Age.
That's what I said.
Huh?
Get your movies right.
Sorry. Doug's the one with a kid here. Okay, so.
It's Ice Age. Oh, Mark.
That is Ice Age, yeah.
All right, so studio.code.org is the site, and this will give you a lot of different coding activities that you can do with your students, right? Or have your students just complete. So right here, you have the squirrel. Well, the squirrel is trying to get the nut. Right here, when run, that means that whenever I click this button, whatever I have attached is going to happen. Right here, your workspace are all the different blocks that you can use. Currently, there's 1 block, so you're using 1 out of 5 possible blocks. So I know that because this is pink, I'm going to use it. No, that's really not your reason. I know that my end game is to get to this nut. So I'm definitely going to use this block because I'm going to repeat some action until I get to the nut. So first, what students want to do is they want to say, well, I'm going to move forward, right? Because it's all about directionality too. So if the squirrel's beak is pointing down, then you want to go forward. If it's pointing to the left, you want to go wherever the beak is pointing. So I'm going to say move forward. Then I get into the squirrel's shoes, and I would go right. Because even though this is left to the squirrel, because the squirrel's going forward, it is right. But then this is where students get stuck because they want to say, I'm going to move forward, turn right, and then I'm going to move forward again, and then I'm going to, by then I'll be here, so then I'll turn right again, and then I'm going to move forward again, and then I'm going to turn right, and then they're going to try to run this program and then watch what happens because right here, you already have too many blocks. What I love about this program is that it's fun, right? So when there is a fail, it's not like, you did a horrible job, you must try this again. No, it's a, haha, I ran into a brick wall, you have to try it again. And it gives you tips on what to use. So,
what website is this?
This is code.org, and to get here, you just go to studio.code.org, and it's the first one that comes up with like 20 different stages.
Studio.code.org.
Oh, yay, you're awesome. You're such an awesome moderator. Okay, so
Cool.
I don't even see what's going on because it's on my screen. But anyhow, so you repeat until the squirrel gets to the acorn. First, you have to reset so you can see your squirrel. Then you get students to start thinking, well, why didn't it work? Well, because it kept going back and forth and back and forth. So what if we say, if the path goes to the right, if the path goes to the right, so I change this drop down, then have the squirrel turn right. But first, I'm going to put move forward. Come on. I'm going to move forward. So this kind of reads like a sentence. So the squirrel, when you click run, is going to repeat this action until it reaches the acorn. And it's going to move forward. That means it's going to keep moving forward. But if the path turns right, then it's going to turn right. Otherwise, it's going to keep moving forward. Okay? So ready? 3, 2, 1. And it goes really slow, which is really nice because it allows students to see what's happening on this side compared to what the squirrel's doing on this other side. And then, woohoo! And then you can go into show code and see the JavaScript behind what the blocks have been doing. We are not going to continue because this game is quite addictive, so we're actually going to stop with that one and get back on the road. All right. Is everybody good with that example?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. The next thing which is really awesome is RI5 and RI7. So both of those standards are all about locating answers to a question, using glossaries, using hints, using the colors to identify what the blocks mean. And then it's about interpreting information, because a lot of the stuff you can't go into Google and say, Google, how do I complete stage 17 of the Angry Birds activity? It's not going to tell you. People don't make YouTube videos on these little programs, though I probably just gave someone an idea to make YouTube videos on these programs, but I hope that they don't. Anyhow. Next, if you're in middle school or junior high, you have, in place of the reading informational text, you have reading literacy and science and technical subjects. Right here, it gets a little bit more complex, and you have following multi-step procedure when performing technical tasks, right? Then, over here, you have compare and contrasting information gained from experiments and simulations and videos and multimedia and things of that information, of that form. With language sensitivity, yes, this is my email. This is especially benefit for students who are using usernames and passwords for the first time, right? So for your lower elementary students who have their own logon for a Chromebook or an iPad or anything like that, remind them that you have to spell things out the way they're supposed to be spelled out. This @ symbol is not the letter A. If you try to type that in, it's not going to work. And they're going to experience that when they put their email in like this, it's not going to work. Relate that back to what they're doing in the programming and see if they're forgetting to put blocks in, right? Because it's all about making cross-curricular references when it comes to computer programming. It's not just doing computer programming for programming's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking and listening, we talked about this during the 7 healthy habits for teaching computer programming. So speaking and listening, SL3 is all about asking and answering questions. Students need to know how to speak in such a way that their classmates, their peers, can understand what they're asking and that they can understand what their answers are. You don't just say the answer is B. Well, why is the answer B, right? Because kids want to know the why behind things.
It's sort of like what you were saying about the paired programming, where, like, if they're not sure the navigator or driver is doing the right thing, they could ask and clarify information.
Definitely. Definitely. And when you do the pair programming, like, boom, they're speaking and listening. If you're doing this as a whole class activity, have them work with each other. If you have students in their own silos, I understand that. But if you have them in their own silos and you're one-to-one, so you want to like have each student on one device, if a student gets stuck, let someone who is more expert in the room answer the question for them, right? Get them to communicate in that way. Yeah. Another cool thing that you could do, especially second grade, so you guys are all about making these audio recordings. Well, what if their audio recording was how to transition through the various levels of a program? Why these two blocks work together, why these two blocks don't work together, right? What if they're doing that?
Teach somebody else how to do it.
Huh?
Make them teach somebody else how to do it. Create a tutorial.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to
Like
teach kids.
explain everything.
Huh?
Explain everything, like that app that you could write the code, have the kid talk about, okay, first do this, then do this, but you could record that with one of those. Is that called Explain Everything app, or I can't remember what
I,
it's
that doesn't. I don't know the app.
the right name. Okay.
Explain everything sounds right. It's like a screencasting, and then you
Yeah.
can edit things on the screen and steps in a process.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Writing. This is one that I'm so passionate about. Oh my gosh, I love this standard. So, writing is one of those things that kids hate doing. They hate it so much. They're like, do I have to? And like when you look at Park and Smarter Balance assessments and basically anything that kids have to write, period, if there's one little box that's the size of this picture down here, they're only going to write just enough to fill up the box, right? We need to get kids to start to think outside of the box. And in Common Core, they have to do that, right? So they have to write an informative or explanatory text. Well, I had this one student. He's going to be famous one day. No, he probably already is. Anyhow, I had this one fourth grader, and I was helping a teacher with some of her high-performing students. So I would take them out for like 15 minutes first thing in the morning, and we'd do some computer programming together. And together, I meant like I was the facilitator and the adult in the room, and like they did the programming and had to like ask each other questions, and I just moderated. It was awesome. And then troubleshooted whatever they couldn't figure like anything out between the three of them. So when the third student came on board, it was this boy. He's extremely high performing. He's extremely creative. I made all of the students go through all 20 stages of the coding program that we just did on the Hour of Code site, so just code.org. But he only got to stage 8. And he was like, do I have to start all over tomorrow? I was like, well, if you don't finish it, then yes, because everybody else had to, but I'll catch you up to that point and it'll be fine. He's like, well, what if I do it at home? And then I started thinking, yeah, what if he does it at home? So then I said, well, I don't go home with you. I don't know what you do at home. What proof am I going to have? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, all right, well, then let's do this. If you can bring me proof, I will let you advance to the next activity. This boy, oh my goodness, can we zoom into this? Oh, because that makes it way more awkward. Okay. Why is it going backwards? That is so weird. Okay. Anyhow, this boy went home, and I asked him afterwards how long it took. He said about an hour, hour and a half. He completed all 20 stages of that Hour of Code activity that we just did. And as his proof, because kids are smart, but let's face it, they're not creative smart like some of us are, you know, where if we need a certificate to something, we just Google certificate of completion, blah, blah, and print it out. That's what I thought he was going to do, and I would have accepted that. He did one better. He went home and wrote the I still can't believe this. The steps that he took to complete every single program. Like,
Wow.
Right? And then he brought it back the next day, and it took me the entire 15 minutes to go through and make sure that this was legit. But if we're giving students this open-ended way of expressing themselves and like solving problems and answering questions and things of that nature, when they come back with this,
Yeah.
the light bulb goes off, right? So you can have students who are, they may not be totally passionate about computer programming. They may just be curious and like really into it. You can have them as a writing activity, turn this basically into paragraph form where they're writing the steps of a technical process.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right?
Because computer language is still very, it's not like a sentence, you know? It's not, it's different, it's a different language altogether. So making it back into formal English, and that's a cool way.
Definitely. And then, like, what the students could even do is when they write these instructions out, so the next day, have them switch have other students complete the program using the instructions, and then have them troubleshoot but write it out, almost like they're grading one another's papers. But instead of grading, they're going in and making edits where edits need to be made. Haha.
Yes.
All right.
Ah.
Take that, Common Core. No. Wait, we're on the side of Common Core. Okay. So another higher level thing is that you can have your high school and your middle school students compose like a more complex tutorial, not just of how to get through stages, but maybe how they made like this interactive game or movie or something using programming. And you can also have students write a comparative analysis. So this is like when you get up into like Java and Ruby and different coding languages. You could have them write a comparative analysis analyzing why it's better to use one language over another, what the quirks are. We're not going to do that. I don't know why that's in there. Oh, whoops, wrong presentation. Told you I was ready for this. Okay. For math integration, so I'm glad that you guys stuck around for the ELA. Now we'll get into the real stuff. So most people think that coding is just a coding and computer programming are more math-based. I kind of beg to differ. I think that they are equally important in ELA as they are in math. In math, everything is just way more implicit, or no, way more explicit. So you can see it right there on the screen. Versus in ELA, it's more implicit, which is sometimes harder to find, but I already did all the work for you, so you have it. Yay!
Yay!
One nice thing with Common Core Math is that they're very consistent in the mathematical practices standard domain, rather, across the board. So in every single grade level, MP1 is the same. Making sense of problems and persevering in solving them. Well, that's iteration. And if we're not teaching our students how to do this, then what are we teaching them?
Not.
We're what?
I was going to say not math. We're not teaching them math. They're not doing that.
We're, you know, like
I'm not as good as a comedian as Doug is, okay?
You are very funny, especially since I can't actually see because I'm going full screen because I'm being slightly lazy.
Okay.
So we can be doing anything we want right now, and she wouldn't know.
Just don't take away, but you can do anything. You can make weird faces and like dress up and be crazy like you normally are. Okay. MP1, so measurement and data. I love this standard. I love it. I love it because we don't teach it until the end of the school year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys encountered, but on Park this year, there were a couple of questions that revolved around angles. And the kids were like, what's an angle? And we're like, uh-oh. That's right. We haven't gotten to that yet. And we're taking Park in April, and that's a May topic. The nice thing about programming is you can start to introduce topics earlier so that students have a basic understanding before you get to the in-depth like educational aspects of it, right? So in this particular activity, which I was confusing with the previous activity, this is Frozen. In Frozen, there are so many different examples of 4MD5 and 6, right? So where students have to recognize what angles are and where they have to measure angles in whole number degrees. And they have to understand that a 90-degree angle is going to be different from a 120 or from a 30. So we'll do this activity so that you can see. Oh, and this is all free, by the way, so you have no excuses.
Yeah.
This one's Frozen.
Definitely.
Thanks, Father Doug. All right, so yes, Doug is right. This one is Frozen.
Here to help.
Who is this actor? Is this Anna or Elsa?
That one's Anna.
Okay. Yeah, see, I watched Frozen once and then I cried.
Character. It's not the.
Frozen, yeah.
It's a what?
That's the character, not the actor.
Oh, okay.
Homer Simpson doesn't really work in a nuclear power plant. He's just an actor. It's the same.
This is where the crickets come in.
Okay. Oh, I think there is a sound effect if we want to pull that up. Okay.
Oh my goodness. So while you guys search for that, we'll look at this. So when you code with Anna and Elsa, a really awesome update that I just noticed, anytime that you see these 3 circles, just click and drag, just play. So this actually expands the screen. So if you want to see what the program is doing versus the script over here, then you can do that. Or you can make what it's doing small and the script basic. Code.org is currently working on something that will allow you to see the JavaScript behind the program and the block-based aspect. So I know in programming that is something that a lot of companies have had challenges with, right? Because you want students to be able to write it instead of just moving blocks all the time. A lot of the companies recognize this as a challenge and are working in the direction of making it more dual-purpose-y. All right, so right here, we'll expand this a little bit so that you can see. So Anna is trying to trace this shape. Gentlemen, what is the name of this shape?
Diamond.
Episode?
Yay, you're both right. Okay.
My class.
So it's bright like a diamond. No, so it's a diamond. It is a trapezoid, it is a rhombus, and it is a parallelogram. So when you get into your shapes unit, you can start to use this program to teach students about what different shapes are and how they can have the same name. So right here on the right-hand side, I'm trying to get Anna to trace, we'll call this the rhombus. So right here, move forward. Well, this is where you can start teaching students about what a pixel is. And a pixel is basically, ooh, wait, do you guys know what a pixel is?
Terrible Adam Sandler movie.
Yes. Okay.
Technically, it's a dot on the screen.
Perfect. So when you have...
Like me as a teacher. Okay, go on.
All right, you guys are awesome. So that is what it is. But when we start to relate pixels to programming, you can start to add movement into it. So if a pixel is a super teeny tiny little dot, then if you have multiple dots together in a straight line, then that now becomes the distance. So if I'm moving forward by 100 pixels, 100 little teeny tiny dots, then I'm moving this far, right? I'm going on this side. Then what we know about a rhombus is that they have equivalent parallel sides and equal opposite angles. Yes.
True.
Yes, that is true. Okay, so then you start to teach about what a shape is, what the sides are, what the angles are. Then you have students complete an activity like this where they have to move forward by 100 pixels, and then since it's all about perspective, if you get into Anna's shoes, you're going to turn right. Now the question is, how much do you turn right by? So in doing with this adults, several times, at least 10 times in the last like 6 months, people get stuck. What you need to think about is if this line were to keep going, then how much would you have to turn in to now get on this line? So if I turn right by, we'll say 120, because most people are going to think something like this initially, and then I move forward, and now I'm shooting out this way, so I'm going to do the opposite and say I know that a straight line is 180, so 120 plus 60 is going to be 180. I can change the speed here. Don't let the students do this because then they won't see what's happening.
Oh.
What happened?
You turn too much.
I turned too much.
Too great.
If I turn too much on the first one, then I now flip this because what's happening is Anna is shooting off at the hip, right? She's going straight. Well, instead of going straight, we wanted to turn in, but we only wanted to turn in this amount. This amount we already know is less than 90 because 90 would be this. Well, in the drop down, it gives you 90 and then 60. Well, it's not quite 45, so we'll go with 60. Then when she gets here, you're making a larger turn and you're completing a line. So instead of 60, she's going to go by 120 because we know 60 plus 120, first grade teachers, is 180. Then we run. Uh-oh, why is it not working? Well, multiplicative properties. And you have parentheses. And it'll only do what you tell it to do the number of times that are outside of the parentheses, but you need to make sure that you have stuff in the parentheses. So whenever you use this repeat block, you can put how many times, and this would be basically like 2 times all of this will complete it. Yay, you did it! And that is how you complete that particular level. Now this program is very addictive, so we are not going to continue on to the snowflake. But you
Mom.
All right, so that's 4th grade. We're almost out of time. Whoops. 5th grade is all about geometry. So right here, here's an activity on Scratch. If you go into Scratch and then you go down here for the new background, and then you choose one of theirs, so you click on the picture here, and then you choose Other, there's this thing called an XY grid. What's nice about the XY grid is that it's a perfect XY grid where the center of the grid is 0, and then over here would be like, I guess this is 240 over here, and this is, or 180. Yeah. So anyhow, this, if you have students have this as their background for Scratch, then you can have the actor draw shapes, you can have the sprite draw shapes in various coordinate planes. In 5th grade, they only have to worry about the first quadrant. Well, if you want to power up a little bit, you can have them do all of the quadrants, right? All right. If you don't know this guy, his name is Mr. Aspinall. His name is actually Brian, and he's in Canada, one of my favorite countries, even though I've only been there once, but there's some really awesome people and bacon in that country. So Brian Aspinall made a whole bunch of videos on how you can use Scratch in the classroom for students to demonstrate their understanding of things like the Pythagorean theorem. So I strongly suggest that you look him up because his videos are just amazing. They'll make you stop what you're doing on like a Thanksgiving party to like watch what he's doing. It's amazing. All right. We stop sharing. Sharing is caring. We're still here. What were you guys doing? We only have one viewer.
Oh, excellent. All right.
Hello, view.
You want to chat with us?
Tell us who you is.
Are there any questions from the audience? Everybody's asleep. This is funny.
Really strange time to run this. It's midnight here.
Yeah.
It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon here.
Yep.
You're on the wrong side of the planet.
I'm on the right side of the planet.
We're on the right side of the planet, Doug. It's 3 o'clock in Hong Kong.
All right, so I guess we will officially stop the broadcast. Thank you all for joining. Hold on, let me check Twitter real quick. Man, so much multitasking here. Nope.
No.
All right. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up. Or, well, you can hit me up at TechTeacherT on Twitter. This has been Marlon, and this has been Doug. And over and out. Have a great Saturday or Sunday. No, have a great Saturday because pretty soon you guys will all be on Saturday.
Saturday now.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.